Hi everyone, in this tutorial I'll talk about how to use an ESP32 board with an OLED screen. This is a beginner's tutorial and enjoy. Alright, in this tutorial I'll be using an ESP32 development module. You can grab something similar to this, an ESP32 board with the pin headers already installed, so it's easier for development. And what you will need is OLED module like this. The one I got is from Pico Dev. They're alright, and it has a 128/64 size screen, and also the OLED module has I2C protocol that we can use to communicate with an ESP32 board. So any you can choose any other brands, doesn't really matter, as long as it has an I2C protocol. And yeah, like the size is this size. Other than that, you also need an hardware such as this breadboard to put our hardware on, and also some hookup wires. So now let's get into setting up the environment to develop the firmware. So in order to communicate the ESP32 board with the PC, you'll need a USB driver. Mostly you can find what you need in the vendor's website. So here I got this specific board, and if you go to the manual, it will tell you that you will need this CP210 USB driver. So that's what when I click onto this, we'll get here, and on here we'll just download the driver according to your platform. So there's this for Mac OS. I'm using Windows, so I'll be downloading this one. And so I've downloaded it ahead of time. So I get this, just extract this, and you will get here, and just install by double clicking onto it, and just next, accept, finish. So you will be ready to use the ESP32 board now. Next, I'll be showing you how to set up an development environment. Easier part is to go with the ARDUINO IDE, but yeah, in this tutorial I'll be using the PlatformIO, which is more professional, I'll say. So in order to use the PlatformIO, first of all you will need to install the VS Code. So I hope you already have it, and have it already installed first, and then you open it, and what you need to do is to install this extension. So you go to extensions, find that PlatformIO, and yeah, so just install it here. Since I've already installed, it's already there. It might take a while, and just let it sit for a while. So after that, you already have you'll get this icon on the left side here. So what you do now is click onto it, and on here you will get this screen. So what you want to do is we want to create a project. So go to projects and configurations, and here we'll create a new project. Let's say we want a project name, so OLED Text ESP32, and we want to select the board. We have an ESP32 board, so type that in. ESP32, there are different variations of it, but most of the ESP32 boards will work with this dev module. So let's choose that, and we want an Arduino framework. And where do we want to create this project? We'll choose and say in my drives D. Yep. And yeah, just okay, I'll also create another project. So let's say ESP32 OLED project, and then click enter and finish. So that's done. It might take a while for you to create this, but this is I've already done it before, so it's really fast for me. So once you're done, let's you click onto PlatformIO, click onto projects again, and then you will see the project that you just created. I think it was this one. So open it. Alright, we're here. So if you're not familiar with PlatformIO, just take it easy. It's not really difficult to get familiar with. So main thing that's important is it has in PlatformIO.ini. This is where you define all those configurations. Right now we have an ESP32 dev module, we have an Arduino framework that we chose, and we have a main.cpp file. If you've used Arduino before, you will see a similar pattern, right? Set up a loop, we include arduino.h. So now what we want to do is get the sample code for OLED. The way you can do it is, where did I put it? So here. So I'm going to use the Adafruit library. So I'll just type this name in there. So you get here. It's got some examples. We'll go there. The board we have is 128/64, and we use I2C. So just click onto that. This is the sample code that the Adafruit provides. So what I want to do is just copy all those. There's a copy button, and then you go back to the project, just select everything and paste. Alright, so now we have this code to run. What we want to do is include these libraries, otherwise it won't compile. So in order to do that, in PlatformIO, we go to libraries and then just type in the name, Adafruit GFX. I'll just copy and paste it in, enter. Here we go, this is the one we want, and PlatformIO has this feature called just add to project. So we will select our project from this list. This one is our project, just add, and it should be really quick. Yep. Let's see here. So this is the library we just added, and it also installs some dependency that this library needs. So Adafruit Bus IO is also installed. What we want to do is install this library as well, or actually add it. So we'll just do the same way, Adafruit, add to project, add it. Okay, after adding this, yeah, see, the errors are gone. So let's go to the sample code. So here we got the libraries here, and this is the size of the OLED screen that we want to use. And this is the OLED reset pin. You can use the pin that you have, or if we don't have reset pin, then we just put -1 like that. And the screen address, this is the I2C address of the OLED screen. Normally it's either 3C or 3D, but in my case I found that to be 3C instead of 3D, although it's a 128/64, so just ignore this comment. I think it's wrong. And then after that we initiate the create a display instance. Don't worry about this these variables, they're just for the examples. And now we go to the setup. So here it's really easy. So what we want to do is just initiate the display with the screen address, and if it fails, this location field will be printed, and that's it. If it is not filled, then we go on to proceed and show the stuff on display. So these functions are just all examples of what you can draw on the OLED, and that's it. And finally, the Adafruit has really made an effort to create an animation. Now if we run this, we'll get some error, and I'll tell you why. So in PlatformIO, there's these two buttons, build and upload. So build is just compiling the code. So these are the errors that we get. That is because the sample that is provided is not written correctly in a C language, from a C language perspective. So these functions have to be defined before we call it in the setup. So what we want to do is copy all these functions and cut it, and then place it before the setup. In that case, we will no longer get an error when we build it. Okay, this is another error that's not related to these functions. We get this error because, as you see, we don't have this I2C device. That happens when we don't include the BuzzIO library, which includes these two header files. So let's do that. What we can do is go to libraries, just type in Adafruit BuzzIO, and then just like we did for the rest of the libraries, just add it in. And you'll see that it's been added here. And now if we run it, we will no longer get the errors. And PlatformIO has a really good feature, see? So here we can see the dependency graph. This library is dependent upon these libraries, and you see this library is also dependent upon all those. So this BuzzIO, we must add it. So this is built successfully, and the firmware is ready. And let's move on to the hardware setup. Here's the schematic of the hardware setup. We have a OLED module that is pin onto the breadboard and the ESP32 board. What we do is essentially just use the hookup wires and connect the ground to the ground here, and 3V 3 voltage input to the 3V 3 on the ESP32 board, and the I2C protocol, which uses the data and the clock to the data and the clock on the ESP32 board. That's essentially it for the hardware setup, and then we will connect the ESP32 with your PC using a USB cable. So when we plug the USB in, we will see that your PC can detect it by going to the, let me put it in first. So on the ports, you see the SCP210X. This is the port we just connected, and then we can now upload the firmware onto it. As you can see, the board is running, and the functions that Adafruit provided are shown. So they're just a bunch of consecutive functions that write images onto the OLED screen, and also these are the values, see, and it's also show how to scrolling left to right, diagonally right, diagonal left, and then this non-character, or it's an icon, and there's a specific way to get that icon, create your own icon even. So at the end it's the animation, and it will go inside this loop forever. Other than the functions I've seen so far, we can also go into this core library, this Adafruit SSD1306 library, and actually go through the source file. So we'll go through the headers and source file. Here we can see the functions that are available to use from the library. This is a really bad coding practice. We need to include the descriptions in this header file instead of putting it in the CCP file. So we need to include normally, and the recommended way of including this comments is in a header file. Anyways, so we have this begin function, which is initiating the display, and the display function will actually displays on the OLED clear display. And this invert display, what it does is invert the colors on the screen. So the by default the OLED module has the black background and the white foreground, or the white text, white figures, anything. So if we set it to true, it is actually reversed. So the white background and everything you do or write is in black. And there's this dim function for dimming. This is actually new, I haven't used it. And then this draw pixel, it's useful if you actually want to draw pixel by pixel on the OLED screen. And there's this horizontal vertical lines, scrolling left right, diagonal left, diagonal right, and also stop scroll. If you don't put stop scroll after scrolling, everything you write or everything you draw will also continue scrolling. So we need to stop scroll, and then this command is lower level function. which I won't get into detail. And this get pixel actually gets the color of the pixel. So these are the functions that you can use from this library. And another library is the GFX library. Okay, so from here there are more functions like the fonts that you can use, you know, in the set font function. And then also, let's see in here, GFX. So here you see rotation, like this fill rectangle, that's the one we use. Like fill screen, circles, drawing triangles, bitmaps, which are really useful, and yeah, like other functions. So go through these if you want to, you know, design more sophisticated figures. So what I want to do now is show you how to create your own you know, own text or figures on an OLED screen. And I have created a function to draw on OLED. I have this function written here before now. So I'll just copy paste it in to the sample code. So we want to do it here before the setup. Say void. I'm drawing a coffee cup, so draw coffee cup and just paste into the code. Okay, I already got the function name there, so I'll just delete that. And what we do in here is so this is the X and Y coordinate that we want to use. You know, that's where we want to draw our coffee cup. So these are just variables. This is the cup width and height. Actually, let me show you how I got this image. So cup, what I actually want to draw is like this. It's a very simple coffee cup with a plate down here. So let's see. Yep. So this cup width and height is the width and height of this rectangle. And then there is this plate width and height as well. So plate width and height is this width and height. And also we have the radius. Radius is for this cup handle. I want a half circle, semicircle, that shape. So here we define variables, and this we use this fill rectangle, which is provided by this Adafruit library. So here we just provide the X and Y coordinates that we want to draw at, the width and height of the rectangle, and the color. The OLED module we have right now is just a monochrome, which means there's only black or white you can choose. So we can only choose white. We will choose white because black is the background. And then so we got this part done. Next we want to draw the cup handle and we use this circle, use this function to draw a circle, and there we put we put the X and Y coordinates of the start point and the radius of the circle, and this corner name. With this you can we can provide some predefined codes to draw, to choose which parts of the circle we want to draw. So this code will give us the two quarters on the right. So that's why I use this, and this is the color, same white. And then this line here is for this part, the plate. Same way, it's just a rectangle, filled rectangle with some width and height and color. And then we want to put a text, like take a break down here, like take a break. So what we want to do is set the font. This function actually resets the font to the default one. You can also choose other fonts, like the ones provided in the library. You can check it out. And I also choose the size of the text. So I think you can do from 1 to 5 or 1 to 8, something like that. Here we'll just choose 1, and also we need to set the color of the text. Here it's just black or white, right? So on the black background we'll choose white, and then we need to set the cursor position of where we want to put the text. So we just choose it here, and then we print it and then display it. So next, what we want to do is, since we got the function, we will use it in the setup, and we will delete all these unnecessary parts in the setup. So what we want to do is put a serial monitor. For the serial monitor, we use the baud rate 9600, and we initiate the display here with the I2C address of the module. And then we will just draw it. Draw the coffee cup. That's it. And then we upload it onto the hardware. And this is what it should look like on the OLED module. Just before we end this video, I would like to introduce you to two tools that are useful for developing an OLED interface. The first one is this one. It's the text simulator for OLED, specifically designed for 128/64 sized OLED module. So this is really handy. You can see here how to use it. So we provide the text we want to draw, and also the position where we want to see with the size of the text. So say it's hello, we want to write hello world at, so this is 128 pixel width and 64 pixel height. So if we put, say, we're going to choose the middle, so 128 divided by 2, around 64, and then 32, and then we want the size to stay the same. So as you can see, the start position is changed to the middle, which is obviously a bad idea, because we want the text to be in the middle, not the start position to be in the middle. So let's say we change it to, say, 32, so it's better now. So yeah, you can use this tool to design the interface before we actually put the code in. And then another tool is this one. So this is actually just an online coding program. So what you do is essentially copy anything from here that you write into this, and then when we run it, it will appear on here. So this tool is useful because we don't want to keep writing and flashing onto the ESP32 in order to see on the OLED module. We don't want to do that because it takes a long time, and we don't want to keep flashing, you know, onto the ESP32 board because it has a limit of, I believe it's 10,000 flashes in its lifetime. So what we actually want to use is this tool to design it first and then see how it will appear on here. Only after that we put the code in and then flash it. So yeah, these two tools are very useful. Now I hope you have learned how to use the OLED module with an ESP32 board, and stay tuned for more videos.